Coming to paperback and e-readers in 2021, John Haynes, Taking Care of Business. The man who rules the world breaks on a brand new partner to help him take care of business in this action-packed all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get John Haynes, Taking Care of Business in 2021 at online booksellers everywhere.
The New York City District Attorney's Office has decided to drop all of the charges against Amy Cooper, the infamous Central Park Karen. Now, Amy Cooper, a white female, came to infamy after she decided to call the police on Christian Cooper, a bird watcher who admonished her for bringing her dog into the bird sanctuary where no dogs were allowed and took her dog off the leash. And as a reaction to Christian Cooper, a black man telling her what to do, and incensed, Amy Cooper decided to call the police on Christian Cooper, and during the exchange which Mr. Cooper was recording, talked about how this black man was doing her harm and was going to use this as a way to have the police either have Mr. Cooper arrested on her lies or possibly killed in a violent altercation. Now, what I find to be troubling about the district attorney dropping these charges is the complete lack of cooperation from your Christian Cooper. Now, your Christian Cooper said that he wanted to forgive your Amy Cooper and go on with things, but what he didn't understand is the gravity of the whole situation as related to this Central Park Karen. Now, this Central Park Karen was not thinking about Mr. Cooper's health or safety in any way, shape, or form. She was just like Carolyn Donham, the white female who went out here and told a lie to her husband and her brother-in-law and directed them to go out here and murder Emmett Till. Your Amy Cooper basically had no respect for Christian Cooper's life, health, safety, or freedom when she was telling her lies on that 911 call and creating this false 911 situation to have these police officers come out here and possibly do harm or take the life of your Christian Cooper. And it seems like this flew over the head of your Christian Cooper, who instead of understanding that this Amy Cooper was looking to murder him, all because he told her that she could not do something in a certain part of the park which is mandated by state law, she decided because this black man is telling me what to do, she's going to make an effort to try to take his life. And sadly, your Christian Cooper is so completely clueless about how dangerous the situation was. Instead of him looking to stand up for his rights as a black man, he decided to start buck dancing and bojangling and talking about, oh, how we need to forgive this Amy Cooper. But this Amy Cooper had no sort of forgiveness for your Christian Cooper. No, all she had was malice aforethought towards your Christian Cooper and was looking to see this man possibly lose his life, all because he, a black man, had the audacity to tell a white woman she couldn't do something in the park that was mandated by state law. Now, what I really find to be troubling about this whole situation is how your Christian Cooper really did not understand how this was going to impact other black Americans out here. Because your Christian Cooper thought, oh, I'll just ask for forgiveness and everything will be okay. But things have not been okay for black men all across this country as related to these Karens. And these Karens have been on a tear in America over the course of 2020, making all sorts of violent threats and calling 911 on black boys, black men, and putting their lives in jeopardy, all because these women feel insecure and uncomfortable about the idea of a black man just being free in this society. And your Christian Cooper had an opportunity to set a legal precedent as related to establishing a boundary for black men and their rights in this country, But instead of him having the courage to stand up for all of the black men out here as related to these out of control, out of pocket Karens and their attempts to take the lives of black men through false 911 calls, your Christian Cooper then starts buck dancing, bojangling, and tap dancing and becomes a coward and talks about how we need to forgive this woman, not understanding we need punishment for these women when they go out here and put black men's lives at risk. Because what black men need to do with these Karens is we needed a individual to come out here and stand up to establish that legal precedent as related to setting a boundary as related to not only our rights but our civil rights as well. Unfortunately, your Christian Cooper did not have the courage to stand up for black men's civil rights, and as a result, what has happened is we now still have the legal precedent of a white female's word being the thing that can put a black man in the ground, no different than what Carolyn Donham did to Emmett Till all those 60 years ago. And what's really sad about this whole situation is that instead of white racists going out here and denying a black man his rights, we have a self-hating black male going out here and denying a black man his ability to get justice as related to these out-of-pocket, out-of-control, and predatory white women who want to exploit the criminal justice system to take a black man's life. No, what we have here is a coward who would rather side with white supremacy instead of getting justice for black Americans. Because when it comes down to women like Amy Cooper, when they go out here and call 911 saying that we do harm to them, they are doing that with malice of forethought. And when they make a false 911 call like that, they need to be punished by law enforcement to the fullest extent of the law, and they need to be held accountable for their actions. And when we hold one of these white females accountable for her actions, that sets a line in the sand legally as related to how black men are represented in society, and it sets a boundary that these white females have to respect. And they understand that if you do this type of thing, calling 911 on a black man, you will be punished and you will be held accountable. But unfortunately, because we have a buck dancing, bojangling, step and fetch it Negro in this Christian Cooper, we have an individual who wants to side with these white supremacists and maintain this whole order as related to the white female not being held accountable for her racist behavior. And because of these buck dancing, bojangling cowards like a Christian Cooper, we have all of these black males who still have their lives being put at risk, like the young 14-year-old brother who was attacked by the so-called Puerto Rican female from California. Because your Christian Cooper did not have the courage to take a stand, we have more and more black males still being targeted by these white and non-black females, and they're thinking that it's okay to do this because we don't have any black men to make that stand and sit there and say, look, you're not going to disrespect me as a black man. I have rights in this country, and if you go and violate my rights, I am going to make every effort to make sure you get punished to the fullest extent of the law. No, we don't have any guys like that to stand up because we have cowards like Christian Cooper, and cowards like this, they make it less safe for every black man out here. Now, your Christian Cooper wants to come out here and say, oh, this Amy Cooper has suffered enough, but I don't believe Amy Cooper has suffered anything at all. This Amy Cooper was looking to have this man murdered by the police, and her losing her job is nothing in comparison to this man losing his life, because had this incident gone the way the Central Park Karen wanted it, this man would have been dead in a hail of bullets, and it would have been considered a justifiable homicide. And what I really find to be disturbing about this whole incident is how little value your Christian Cooper has on his own life as a black man, and how little value he has on the life of other black men. He's still thinking he's some sort of individual in this country, but he doesn't understand how his actions impacted black men as a collective. Because when he went out here and decided, oh, I don't want to have this woman prosecuted, he was saying that his life didn't matter, and he was sending a message to these white supremacists on both the left and the right that, oh, a black man's life doesn't matter to him, so it should not matter to us, so we don't have to punish this white female for any crime she commits against that black man. That's the message your Christian Cooper was sending to all of America with his actions, and he put more black men in jeopardy with his cowardly actions out here. And that absolutely disgusts me, because as a black man, his actions put me in jeopardy. It puts all of these brothers out here in jeopardy. And he's thinking, oh, I'm going to get some sort of benefit. But he doesn't understand white supremacy always breaks its toys. And he's sitting there thinking, oh, if I give this white female a pass, I'll get some sort of pass. But no, all these white supremacists are going to do is eventually turn on him and put a boot in his ass. And that's going to be the end of him. And he doesn't even understand it. But it's also going to be harder out here for all of these brothers out here, because we wanted something done about this Central Park Karen, because putting this Central Park Karen in jail was about letting all of these other little female white supremacists know where the line is, and letting them know that a black man's life is going to matter to us, that we're going to stand up for our life and our rights. And again, it's really sad that Christian Cooper's sister had more value in his life than his own, because he wasn't even going to take that video and post it up for people to see this racism. No, he was going to try to hide it, because he wanted to go out here and bootlick to his white slave masters, and he wanted to buck dance and bojangle. But his sister had more backbone and courage than he did, and she was willing to stand up for him. And that again shows how weak and cowardly this beta male coward truly is, because he's going to sit there and let this woman practically get away with almost trying to murder him, and he's going to think that it's perfectly fine. And what really disgusts me the most is, again, he sits there and thinks that this is okay, and they're sitting there, the district attorney's office, thanks to him, is thinking, oh, Amy Cooper took a couple of courses as related to racial tolerance, and that should be enough. No, it is not enough as related to me. When these racists go out here and try to take the life of a black man by calling the police on them, we need to set a standard as related to these out-of-pocket behaviors. Because if somebody calls 911 and tries to use the police to murder an individual, we need to have a legal precedent so that person can be punished. And us not punishing Amy Cooper gives other Karens a pass, and it allows them to believe, oh, I can go out here and threaten a black man's life because a black man's life doesn't matter to him. And because it doesn't matter to him, I can use this black man to get attention for myself, and I can go out here and feel some sort of worth by seeing a black man dead on the street because I was able to call up these white race soldiers to go out here and murder this black man, all based on my beck and call. And that's what the legal precedent was supposed to be about, stopping these white women from going out here and using the police as their own personal firing squad whenever they got their feelings hurt, or wherever somebody was when somebody ever tells them what they can't do. That's what this whole case was about. Unfortunately, this flew over the head of that coward Christian Cooper, and thanks to him, we now have this dangerous legal precedent still in place, something similar to what happened with Jim Crow, because back in the days of Jim Crow, when a white woman said a black man did something, we got a mob of white males who came out here and wanted to either take that black man who was innocent and put him in jail, or go out here and lynch that black man and take his life, all because she was feeling in her feelings and she wanted to be satisfied as related to the murder of a man in order to feel some sort of worth. That's the precedent that your Christian Cooper allowed to be set and is still allowed to remain in place. And many of these people in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, they're thinking, oh, she took some courses and now she's a little better. I say no, she's not better. She played along because she's still the same old white supremacist. And the only way you can teach a white supremacist a lesson on how their behavior is wrong is for this individual to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. Her losing her job is nothing when she was willing to take this man's life. Her losing a dog is nothing compared to what she was planning to do to this man with malice of forethought. This woman needed to be put in prison and held accountable. Unfortunately, because we live in a gynocentric society filled with cowards like Christian Cooper, they don't have the courage to stand up for black men. They don't have the courage to stand up for black manhood, and they don't have the courage to set a boundary for how black men will be treated. Because if we black men don't stand up and show that our lives matter to us, then how can we ask others to value our life? That's the critical question I want to ask that coward Christian Cooper. How can you sit there and ask people to value a black man's life when the black man goes out here and starts talking about forgiveness as related to a woman who was planning your execution and your murder by making a false 911 call, knowing that she had this white female privilege and was willing to use that white female privilege to get you murdered? That's another critical question I want to ask your Christian Cooper, who wants to sit there and in an interview deflect, talking about, oh, we shouldn't focus on this matter. We need to focus on Congress. No, we need to focus on you. We need to focus on your cowardice, and we need to focus on how you hurt black men in this society, a society where we already have it hard as it is, where we're already being targeted. And as somebody who had the target placed on your back, instead of you understanding the danger you were in and the danger you were putting other black men in, you want to sit here and talk about, oh, we need to focus on the Congress. Well, the Congress is a majority run by the same political party that runs New York State, the same political party that just dropped those charges, and the same political party that historically has been connected to groups like the Ku Klux Klan. So how are you going to focus on Congress when you don't want to even stand up for your basic rights? I mean, that's a deflection of the year as I see it, because you're sitting here talking about, oh, we need to focus on the Congress and what they're not doing for people. No, you had an opportunity to do something for black people, but because you did not have the backbone or the stones to stand up for a black man's rights in this country, you allowed a dangerous legal precedent to remain in place, and you put more black men's lives in jeopardy. That is the thing that disgusts me most about Christian Cooper. He gave this Central Park Karen a pass, and he also opened the door for more Karens out there to go out here and attack other black men and be able to participate in their racist behavior. Because had he set that line in the sand as related to this racist white female, it would have set a standard for all of these white females to follow, and it would have let all of these white females know that they were going to be put on notice, and they were not going to be able to use black men as a way to get their attention for themselves, and that they would be held to the same standard of law that everybody else in this country is held to. That's what most black men in this country are disgusted by as related to this case and having the charges dropped. I mean, the summer of 2020 was supposed to be all about change with the murder of George Floyd, the Central Park Karen. We were supposed to see tangible change as related to all of these protests out here, but we clearly see because one black man did not value the life of other black men, this is what we get at the end as related to legal precedent. And I have to ask a critical question. Where is your Black Lives Matter as related to this incident? Because if a black man's life is supposed to matter so much, you would think your BLM would be out here protesting, but they only, again, protest when the black man is dead, and they can use their casket towards as a stepping stone towards marching towards their single mother and other agendas. So, I wonder where they are in this case, and it's really sad because if a black man's life doesn't matter to the black man, then how can he sit here and talk about, oh, other people need to respect me, when he doesn't have enough courage to stand up and take his respect? That's another thing that really aggravates me about your Christian Cooper. He wants us to go out here and stand up for him, but he won't stand up for himself. And thanks to him, we now have, again, this dangerous legal precedent in place that is basically a repackaging of Jim Crow and a repackaging of the unwritten rules of Jim Crow. That's what we got from this whole Central Park Karen incident as related to the law. And many of these leftists who live in New York don't even understand the legal precedent that they have set. They have set a legal precedent that lets the whole world know, hey, we don't have to value a black man's life here in New York City. We don't have to value a black man's life in this country because the black man, he'll sit there instead of him standing up for his rights, sit down and talk about forgiveness, apologies, and talk about going to deal with a Congress in Washington instead of setting a legal precedent in New York that lets everybody know that if you go out here and you disrespect a black man by racially profiling him, he will be able to get legal recourse against you and have you punished to the full extent of the law. That's what many who are fighting for the black agenda are all about. We are about punishing these Karens. We are about punishing these rogue people, like these rogue police officers who attack black people and these race soldiers and these suburban commandos, and letting them know a black person's life has value, and we value it enough that we are going to hold you accountable, and we are going to have you punished to the fullest extent of the laws of this land. Now, this video is not going to be monetized because of YouTube's crazy community guidelines, and I need your support to stay on the air. So if you could donate to the Cash App, it would be greatly appreciated. Or if you could pick up one of my books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format, it would also be greatly appreciated. So I thank you for your support if you do donate to the Cash App or buy one of my books, and I hope that you go out here and continue to support me so I can continue putting on videos like this. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Coming to paperback and e-readers this April, Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. The goddess next door must take on the threat of a deadly digital diva driven to destroy the world in this action-packed all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess in paperback and e-readers this April.